Hello, everybody. I'm Kelly Byrnes. Welcome to the Leadership Book of the Month. I am flying solo today. Dave and Brett are on summer vacation, so I'm flying solo and they will be back next month. So today we are going to talk about multipliers from Liz Wiseman, and we'll get to that in just a minute. We'll be brief today, but I didn't want to skip it because we skipped last month. So I wanted to just be with you today for just a little bit. And this was such a good book. So let's get to it in just a second. Just as a reminder, I know usually we have some regulars that join us. So welcome to anybody that's watching live on LinkedIn or on YouTube. And whether you're watching live or you come back to the recording later, we appreciate you. And we started this in 2001. This is number 30 of the Leadership Book of the Month. So thank you for joining any of those broadcasts. And you can see them on LinkedIn or on YouTube. And YouTube is at Navigate Leadership on the Voyage Consulting Group profile page. I can put the link in the well, it kind of depends on where you watch it, but you can find it on, I'll put the link on the LinkedIn page for this event. And we started doing these to help leaders continue their development. And reading a book a month is pretty reasonable because you don't have to read it like you're in school. Just read it and grasp whatever you can get out of it and continue growing and evolving as a leader. So we look at these as a way to inspire leaders to continue investing in themselves. And if you know somebody that wants to do that, we're here for you. And the leaders of today who invest in themselves will be the best leaders tomorrow. So you probably won't be a leader tomorrow if you don't invest in yourself today, right? So that's where this all came from and started. So I'm excited to be with you today. And if you're here, you're welcome to post a comment in LinkedIn, and I will watch it from my phone over here and see if there's anything. If anybody posts, I'll try to remember to go look at it. But bear with me as I fly solo today. And let's just dive in. So this book, the original book came out in 2010, and the author updated in 2017 because so much had changed. And then, of course, COVID happened after that. We had a global pandemic, so it could be updated again. Actually, I thought about that when I was preparing for today, because she wrote about it in 2017 about how the world had changed prior to that, and it keeps changing. So we have to keep changing with it, and that requires self-awareness. And that's really one of the main reasons I wanted us to talk about this book and spend time on it, because it will help you with self-awareness. And so the main thing about this book and why I wanted to do it was because we did Impact Players. It was one of our first books. This was our fourth one a couple of years ago by the same author, Liz Wiseman. And so many people refer to her work and to these two books. So they're definitely worth your time and worth taking a look at. I'll grab the link to our conversation about Impact Players and put it in the comments for this discussion as well, in case you wanted to see that too. But Liz Wiseman is a researcher and an executive advisor who teaches leadership to top organizations worldwide. She's also her books. She has 3 books. They're New York Times bestsellers, and the latest is Rookie Smarts. And so I have not read that one, but Impact Players and the Multiplier Effect were New York Times bestsellers. And let me see what else I wrote down about her. She has worked with big companies, including Apple, AT&T, Disney, Meta, Google, Microsoft, Nike, Salesforce, Tesla, and former Twitter, X. So if you've watched any of our broadcasts, you know that we don't prefer to choose books only by researchers, because we find the best are people who have had senior level jobs too. And Liz has done that. She started her career, I believe, in HR, and then at Oracle, and then she became the head over their what was it called? Like their training department, their global university at Oracle. So the VP of Oracle University, and she was the global leader for the HR department. So that was early in her career. And then for many years, she's been advising and been a researcher. She has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Brigham Young University. So highly regarded, and definitely knows what she's doing and what she's talking about. So worth the time for us to go through it as well. Okay, so about this book. So you have probably taken a lot of assessments, as leaders tend to do. What I really like about this book is there are two types of leaders that she talks about. There's not a whole combination of letters that you need to know, or a big variety of colors or anything like that. There's two types of leaders that she talks about, and it's multipliers and diminishers. And you can take a quiz, and I made a little where did that go? A banner for you. So you can go to her website, thewisemangroup.com/books, and choose multipliers. And if you go to that page, you'll see where you can buy the book and also take the quiz. And it's 10 questions. And I've taken it. And the thing about it is the multipliers are the leaders who get the most out of other people. And isn't that our job as leaders? It's to get the most out of people. So it leads to higher performance of the team. And then diminishers are the people who don't do that. They're the ones who stifle growth and hold people back. And haven't we all worked with people like that? But the thing about the book is she really insists that it's a continuum. You're not always a multiplier. And probably anybody watching this, you're not always a diminisher either, but you're on that continuum of somewhere between multiplier and diminisher. So take that quiz probably after you watch this, or anytime really. But the great power of the book is recognize. You will be able to recognize when you're being a diminisher. And I think we all have those tendencies. Certainly taking that quiz and reviewing this book again brought that to my attention. And sometimes, most of the time I'm a multiplier, but there are some circumstances when I'm a diminisher and without realizing it, and when it's not useful. There are times, she says in the book, when being a diminisher, like you have to make a decision quickly, or there's a crisis, stuff like that. But there's other times when you're a diminisher by accident, unintentional. So we can do better. And I want to do better, and you probably do too, or you wouldn't be watching. So it's a continuum, and I want you to read it. Take the quiz, read it, understand the 5 disciplines of the multiplier, which is what she goes through, so that you can recognize when you are being a diminisher and catch yourself and get out of that. And then the third thing is there are even better ways or deeper ways you can be a better multiplier too. So you might be a multiplier because of the development that you've had, the education, the growth, the mentoring, and add to that, be a multiplier on purpose and take it even deeper. And she gives so many ways in the book to do that. And in each chapter, at least 3 or 4 ways. And then, so if you pick one in each of the 5 disciplines of a multiplier, just pick one for each, or even just one overall, and start there. That can help you be a multiplier on purpose and deepen that talent that you already have. So, if you really pick one of those and you recognize when you're a diminisher even more, you'll be an even better leader, able to get more with other people, out of other people. One of the most important things I liked in the beginning of this book was when she talked about 4 surprises. Let me find that. I don't think I wrote that down. Yeah, I didn't write down where that was, but it is in the beginning. Oh, yeah, it is. 4 surprises that she found. So after she did the research, and then she's looking at all the data, 4 surprises that she came across about these multipliers. So the first one she shares is that multipliers have a hard edge. So it's not a soft skill. It's not touchy-feely to be a multiplier. It's that they have a hard edge because they're driving toward results. They're just not doing it in a way that they're jerks. She talks about how people will be complimentary and appreciate the multipliers that they've worked with in the past, but they don't appreciate it from a soft, lovey-dovey relationship. They appreciate the overall experience, and they comment on that multiplier leader made them better. So they were better for the experience. So that was one of the surprises. A second one that surprised her was that multipliers don't play small. So sometimes you might find yourself having a tendency to not play big or not be yourself, to shine the light on others. And that's not what multipliers do. So multipliers don't shine or shy away or diminish in order to shine a light on others. They play big and invite others to play big too. She gives a great example of Magic Johnson. And I've talked about him and studied him over the years too. And while she doesn't talk about Michael Jordan in the same context, but he's another one that had similar experience. But in Magic's case, the story she talks about is when he was in high school. I think it was high school. Young guy. Yeah, high school. When he was in high school, that his coach wanted him to score all the time. And so he was scoring all the time. But what do you think that does to everybody else on the team? Of course, they kind of started to not play as well because he was going to score all the time. So if there's one person that's doing all the great things on your team, that's going to diminish the skill set of everybody else. It's probably going to annoy them, and they're not going to bring their A game to work every day. If they stay on the team over time, their skills will atrophy. I've seen that in my career. I've seen that on teams, and you probably have too. So what Jordan realized at that young age, he realized if he continued that way, that he wasn't going to win championships and it wasn't going to be as fun. So he realized he can still score and be great, but he wanted to elevate everybody else too and invite them to score as well. So that's what he did. And Michael Jordan talks about that too, about when he first came into the league, that nobody liked him because he was scoring all the time, and the spotlight was on him, and he didn't win championships. And I think he had like all these records of these great most points scored and all these personal records, but wasn't winning championships. And if you want to win championships, you have to elevate other people and bring others with you. So what's the equivalent of that in your company, in your job? Right? So if you're the one that's always scoring, keeping the spotlight for yourself, how can you shine the light on others? So not playing small, but bringing others with you. That was something that surprised her in how multipliers operate. So it might be something worth your attention. A third one was how a third surprise for the author, for Liz Wiseman, was that multipliers have a great sense of humor. And I guess she talks about how she doesn't say they're like comedians and telling jokes all the time, but just that they can laugh at themselves. They don't take themselves too seriously. And she doesn't talk about this but I thought it resonated with me that maybe multipliers have confidence so they don't have to be so on edge and stressed. She does talk in the book about how multipliers have they make room for mistakes. They own mistakes and they learn from mistakes. They don't freak out at every little mistake. So maybe that helps them lighten up and have a sense of humor and see the world with that perspective. The last one of the surprises was one of the drivers for this updated book. And it's one of the most important things that I want you to take away from today and from the book. And it was the Accidental Diminisher. And she talks about how about one of the biggest surprises was realizing how few diminishers understood the impact of what they did. The diminishers, who really are the strong diminishers, they didn't really know that they were diminishing other people. So they didn't have that intention most of the time. Okay, so we probably do have some jerks out there, but most of the people aren't trying to be jerks, but they just didn't realize the impact. So I think that's something worth attention. And then also that ties into what I mentioned before about the continuum. And when multipliers can also be diminishers. And, we're not diminishers all the time. We're accidental diminishers. And that's the term she uses. There's a whole section in the book on that as well. So we're accidental diminishers. And I want you to read it and then realize, when does that happen to you? What are those situations? It could be different situations, like maybe it's a new client. Maybe it's a client that's upset. Maybe it's the sales process is taking too long, a new teammate, a teammate that's struggling. Maybe it's a peer that you don't get along that great with, or a new boss. It could be a variety of circumstances or people, but be aware of what that is so you can catch yourself and not be diminishing others, because then that diminishes the results you're going to get to. And then that just all adds an extra layer of pressure and stress. And of course, what does that lead to? Burnout and worse results, all the things that we're not trying to have in our work or in our lives. So that it'll be great self-awareness for you when you look at that in the book. So those are the surprises. And she goes through, in each of the chapters are on these 5 disciplines of the multiplier. And I'm not going to take the time here to go through all of those, but just see, I flagged them in my copy, and I took notes, and I was going to share one story of mine for each of those. But I think it'd be more interesting for you to go through and read her stories and look for your own stories in there too, and then see where you can. Which of the lessons are in there. She goes through like what the multiplier does and what the diminisher does, and then how to be a better multiplier in each of those 5 disciplines. So I think you would really get a lot out of it and enjoy it. And the way she writes is really easy to absorb, in my opinion. It's not all academia, so I thought it was easy to absorb. So I think that encourages me to want to recommend it as well. And then one other thing I really liked about this book is, in the end, she has a good FAQ section, and then there are lots of resources and great ideas in the back of the book. So I know there's a discussion guide if you do want to, maybe you want to lead a discussion group among your leadership team. Then there's other tools in the back. So sometimes people don't look all the way in the back. So it's worth your time to look back there too. So a lot of great actions in here. I highly recommend it. And I'm going to post the link one more time. And I'll put this in the chat as well. So you can take the quiz, go there in the Wiseman Group. .com/books/multipliers, and you can buy the book there. Obviously, it's on Amazon as well. Actually, I noticed on Amazon today that the 2 books are, I think they're discounted for $29 today for both books. So today, June 27th of 2024. I don't know what they were on the website, but you can go there and get the books, and you can take the quiz as well. And let me see if I had anything else I wanted to share. I think that's good about the books. So coming up, Dave and Brett will be back in the future. And coming up, I need to talk with the authors of some books that I like. One is Clarity, Business Wisdom to Work Less and Achieve More. This is from Jim Vasilopoulos, and he was kind enough to invite me on his podcast with Jan Rutherford recently. But I had read his book prior to that, and I look forward to talking with him. And then Luis Velazquez had a book that just came out this week, and I had an advanced copy and loved it. And that is Ordinary Resilience, Rethinking How Effective Leaders Adapt and Thrive. And it's fantastic. So we'll get both of those authors to come on with us as well. So look for that coming up. And I think that is it for the day. So I thank you for joining. Thanks for I forgot to look to see if anybody had questions. So sorry about that. I'll look in the, comments when I log off here. And thank you for joining. I hope you found this valuable. We welcome your comments and your ideas, your book suggestions. So feel free to send those along, and look forward to seeing you again another time. Thank you.